Hiya! It's been a while. A lot of things have changed. I quit my day job to get a different job. So it's been a little bit stressful. But it's finally time because the morning of recording, they pushed through another hot fix to this frickin' ring. So let's talk about it and let's go over it and then let's see how good it is for Assassination. So if you don't know how the ring works in the upcoming patch 1107, you get it from doing the new zone, right? You get it, you unlock it. The quest gives you some gems for it. It has 3 slots: a slot for a yellow, a blue, and a pink, a thunder, a sea, and a wind, right? So you put a special gem in each of the slots. They do special things. It's supposed to be a neat little thing. If you remember the Onyx Annullet from 1007, from Dragonflight, same thing. So it's basically the same thing. You unlock it every week. It gets upgraded. There's a little weekly quest. 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, it's fully upgraded. You get the thing. You get all the catch-up system, all the flying. You get the raw things increasing, whatever. Right? Cool. So what are we actually slotting into the ring? So there are a couple of gems, 4 of each type. I'm gonna kind of breeze through these. Most of these don't matter, but you have like a chance to trigger an effect of 4 nearby allies. Okay. Shield an enemy, absorbing damage. Attackers take 10% absorbed. Just base secondary stats, nothing else, no proc or anything. A proc for nature damage. Singing citrines are increased based on your total mastery. You know, it just buffs random stats, random bits of damage, right? Your spells have a chance to bounce to 2 enemies, dealing frost damage, whatever. And there's a couple interesting ones here that I want to point out. The first one here is the Legendary Skipper, which has your spells and ability. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Your spells and ability have a chance to cast a random citrine effect at 150% effectiveness. This is Omega RNG. And we'll look at an article that kind of goes over the value of these and kind of ranks them. The other one that I want to point out for later is this Fathom Dweller's Runed Citrine. So it says all other singing citrine effects are increased based on your total mastery. Now the thing to note here is this is based on mastery points, not mastery percent. You don't know how mastery works in World of Warcraft. You are going through a conversion process. So, for example, let's say 1,000 mastery grants you 10 mastery points. You don't see those mastery points, but in-game, 1 mastery point is worth 3% on your mastery, like on your character sheet. So if you have 10 mastery points, that's 30% for Assassination. Or, you know, on Subtlety, it might be higher. It might be 5% for their mastery. So it'd be 30% for Assassination, 50% for Subtlety, but it's still 10 mastery points, right? So if you're looking at your character sheet and you're like, oh, well, I have... not that one. If you're looking at your character sheet and you're going, oh, well, I have 70% mastery, so they'll be 70% stronger. No, because you have to convert back. So it's going to be much lower. It's probably going to be, for most people, in like the 15 to 20 range, I would say. If you have a lot of mastery, it might be 25%. But again, character sheet is wrong. That's not how this is calculating your total mastery, right? Okay. So, how good are these things? We have, from Tazenak, Death Knight, Theory Crafter, SimC Savant, my fellow guide writer at Wowhead, good friend, he posted this long thing going over each of the gems, what they do. If you want to read this, it's on Wowhead, good stuff. I'm just going to be going over the ones that we care about. And mainly, we're going to be caring about the Legendary Skipper and then Fathom Dwellers. Those are the 2 ones I want to really highlight. We also have Wind Singers, which is just highest secondary stat. Combining it with Fathom Dwellers when mastery is highest makes for great gains, right? So Windsinger, highest secondary stat. Fathom Dwellers, mastery, right? Mastery is good for Assassination, so getting both of these is a lot of mastery. Then you have the Skippers, which is spells and abilities have a random, chance, 50% effectiveness. We've already gone over that. But let's take a little bit of a look, because there's a couple of weird things. First of all, here it explains again the mastery point system. But the snapshots. So it ignores the baseline that each spec start with, but it also snapshots. So there's weird things that can happen, but that's going to get fixed. I'm not going to go over that. Then you have the legendary skipper, and there's this table that shows you what it does on each single one. So it applies, this for 15 seconds. If you have Wind Singers, you just get a passive, but if you have the proc from the legendary skipper, it applies the effect for 15 seconds, so it doubles it essentially for 15 seconds. You also have other things, like if you have Fathom Dwellers, it applies Fathom Dwellers yourself for 15 seconds. It does not include the mastery scaling, so it's just the mastery gets doubled. The bonus total mastery effect doesn't get doubled, right? And that's sort of the same thing here. Stormbringers is 400 of every secondary stat, like in total, versus mastery crit haste, and that's also 15 seconds. So pretty regular things, but it is very RNG. Proccing this or not proccing this, it's going to be a mess. So let's quickly go over numbers. I'm going to try to keep the video down quick. Single target raid, it's not good. And you see legendary Stormbringer Fathom Dweller, right? Windsinger Stormbringer Fathom Dweller, legendary Thunderlord Fathom Dweller. These are kind of the ones you'll see all the time. This is the regular ring at 626. And so legendary Stormbringer Fathom Dweller, the ones we've already been covering, right? Legendary is the RNG one. Stormbringer, all the stats. Then you have Fathom Dweller giving mastery. You have Windsinger, right? Windsinger is highest secondary stat. So it's basically just secondary stats. The passive procs aren't strong enough right now. For example, this is Zap 1 for instant nature damage. Not good enough. It doesn't scale with anything that we have, because it's not a rogue effect. It's an item effect, so Shiv doesn't work on it. Nothing works on it. Mastery doesn't work on it. Zoldyck doesn't work on it. None of that works on it. It's just passive damage, and it is too weak. See, that Squall is down here, and these all suck. These all suck. The only good combination here is some combination of Legendary, Windsinger, Stormbringer, and Fathom Dweller, right? Thunderlord can be okay. That's this one. It's the only one that's semi-decent. The rest of them kind of suck. Where it gets interesting, though, hello, Fatebound in single target. So Fatebound has been slightly better in single target, mainly for Mythic Sikran and Mythic Kaiveza. Those are kind of the two where people get want to play Fatebound and optimize their single target. And because Fatebound's stat priorities are ever so slightly different from Deathstalker, and it prefers crit, to the point where Windsinger, Stormbringer, and Fathom Dweller are the go-to, because it just wants more crit. So again, that's all stats, mastery, and then the highest secondary stat. And that's giving a pretty sizable gain post-buff from this morning, right? Is it really like the greatest thing ever? No. Will you want to get it? Probably, right? Probably want to get it. And then the real surprise, Dungeon Slice. It's also looking like Windsinger, Stormbringer, Fathom Dweller. And it just goes back to Assassination likes all the secondary stats. Like, every secondary stat is good on Assassination. We don't have a necessarily bad one or awful one. So just having a ring with a ton of secondary stats is slightly better. Very so slightly better. The ring still has stamina, so you're not losing any stamina on it. But yeah, so bad in single target for Deathstalker, good for Fatebound, and meh for dungeons. That's kind of the TLDR here. And I will say that part of the issue here is that these are probably going to get buffed again. There is no way that these bad gems that no one is using are, 3, 4, 5, 6% behind and not getting buffed. And this is what we saw in 1007 as well. In 1007, with the Forbidden Reach and the Onyx Annullet, we saw the same thing. You had a gem that was really bad. You had gems that were kind of only okay, and Blizzard went out of their way to just full buff everything by like 30-40%. And the ring at that point was like a 2% upgrade. It was a very large upgrade that everyone needed to have. We then went into Season 2 with the ring still being BIS for a lot of people, even with the like upped item level of Season 2. And Blizzard then promptly nerfed it. The way PTR has been going, we're on the same trajectory, right? The gems get added, they're really weak. Super weak, no one's going to use them. That's kind of been the last 3 weeks. This week, we saw a hotfix that buffed a bunch of gems, and then this morning we saw another hotfix that buffed the stat gems specifically. And now they're getting in the range of playable for most classes, or slightly better in our case, right? Slightly better in our case. But the fear that I have is that we're just repeating history and we're going right back to 1007. It's going to launch, people aren't going to use it, and it's going to get giga buffed. So, I think you should be farming this. As much as I don't want to farm this, because I think it's a little bit of a gimmicky thing, I think that you should realistically do the quest line, get your ring, get your gems, and make sure you're ready for buffs that come in. If there are large buffs that change the up and down and which gems you want to equip, I will make a follow-up video, of course. But as of now, we're kind of on the cusp to like being a good gem that you want to for sure get, and just waiting for buffs to happen, right? But that's kind of it. That's all I have. I will link these articles in the description in case you want to read up on how it works, on how to do the contents, how to get flying, all of that stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video now that I have time. All right, bye.